Hello. What's going on? Hmm. Let's turn that off. Well, I will wait around a few minutes to see if anybody's going to come in or not. Uh, hmm. Got miniature pieces everywhere. It's actually kind of disturbing. Uh, but, sorry, I got my finger in everybody's face. I'm trying to. It's really like um, I just keep forgetting the Bluetooth thing on my keyboard for my keyboard and mouse, so I just use the I have the laptop here and my Bluetooth keyboard here, and I forget the USB dongle. I think that's what they call it, which is a really fun word. Um, I keep forgetting that in the other room because I have two different setups. One to play video games and one for D&D. So uh, it's really not as fancy as I just made it sound up because this setup is actually my bedroom with a TV and an Xbox and my PlayStation. But the PlayStation is not um, cooperating with my um, capture card. I'm actually prepping my dog's meds right now in these little pill pockets. So we got to give that to him at 8 o'clock. So, like I said, just wait around a few minutes and see what is happening. Tonight, I'm going to try to answer some questions um, that were sent to me, or supposed to be, not supposed to be, but were sent to me. Also, I will be talking a little bit about. Let me get this stuff out of the way here. This Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and what my opinion is on it. Like, if anybody really cares about what I have to say. But yeah, it is. It's gonna be a fun night, and I'm completely like not even looking at the camera right now, and I apologize. Um, Fun, right? Uh, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything seems to be kind of a, or it was. I don't know if it is anymore. I haven't heard a lot. I take that back. I've heard a lot about it, but I haven't really heard. I haven't heard. I've heard a mixed bag of stuff, but it's hard telling what people think and what they like. Uh, but it is. It is what it is. Sorry, I'm a little. I was a little. I'm okay now. But yeah, it is 7:34. So we'll give it like one or two more minutes, see if anybody's going to come in, and then I'll just start talking, and hopefully people will roll on in and come hang out with me for a minute. Hmm. I need a better. I need a better chair. I keep saying that. I've said that about the old recliner that I play Xbox in, which is not a good setup. Uh, Definitely for things like this for the D and Ask a DM stuff like that. I uh, feel like you're looking up at me or something. I don't know. I just need a better setup. I need a better chair. and a better desk. And one day I will have those things. But today is not that day, especially since I have a little bit more Christmas shopping to do. Just got a text message. And hopefully your Christmas shopping is done or is on the way of being done, or you're smarter than me and decided to make people gifts. But Amazon is a lifesaver. It's not because of the COVID pandemic, but it really helps in the face of that. It does help. But it is mostly because I don't like going out in busy places anymore. I worked retail for over 10 years. And it is not fun to work every Black Friday. I worked almost every Black Friday ever in those 10 years in retail. And I just don't like busy stores anymore. I like being able to relax at home. I like going out and everything, I'll go to stores, I'll go whatever, movies, things like that. But when it's this time of year, I mean, it's supposed to be about giving and everything, and it's dude, retail stores this time of year can be absolute hell. And it is, it seems like every Black Friday it gets just a little bit worse. This year was actually pretty good, because people are hopefully staying safe and whatnot. But a lot of people were not out. I actually was not out at stores during Black Friday, but I was out a little bit, visiting family and things like that. And we just went for a drive and things like that, and we're watching, and it really was. We were in a busy section of town. Usually around this time of year, it wasn't that busy. I mean, it's, still unfortunately like a little crazy, but it wasn't as bad as it usually is. So I shouldn't do that, but I have glue all over my fingers. I tell you what, I have glue all over my fingers. I've been working on. I bought some boxes down here. Wow, I got really close to the mic, and I apologize. But I bought some Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Age of Sigmar Dryads. And I was like, man, these are really cool. And they were actually a really good price when I got them. And there was a ton of them in here. And I tried putting them together. I was not, I don't play Warhammer. I've never really played Warhammer. I'm not familiar with, I'm familiar with the Warhammer game, but I'm not familiar with the gameplay and stuff. So in an hour or a little more, I got 2 done. And that's it. I'm not used to this. And I don't even know if I did them right. But they look all right for me. For what I'm going to use them for. They are super intricate. And they are super hard to put together. I mean, I've got what you call beefy fingers. They may be short, but my hands are big, thick, and trying to hold these things together, especially if, I think I've got the onset of some carpal tunnel, and it's just, they're horrid to put together. I'm going to need some tweezers and stuff like that, I think, or like a stand where I can clip them in and do a little bit better. But yeah, man, it's I love painting miniatures, and I have put some together in the past, but man, screw a bunch of Warhammer miniatures putting those together. I'd rather been. I mean, thank you, WizKids, for having miniatures that are already put together, because this is not my bag. Trying to hold little tiny arms on little tiny bodies with glue. And honestly, I'm not that adept at building miniatures or putting them together. So if you're watching this and you have any, what's the word I'm looking for? Advice. There we go. If you have any advice for me, shoot it on over to Misfits and Miscreants at Gmail, or on Instagram, or Twitter. I still check Twitter once in a while. Twitter is very toxic right now, and I don't like it. Um, uh, yeah, Facebook, or just come hang out with me on a stream. We stream this. I stream this. I stream video games, and we also stream Curse of Strahd on Tuesday nights. If you've seen that, so it's been a lot of fun. And you just come hang out with me. As you know, I mean, I'm a fun guy, right? I hope. So yeah, let's actually, since it's Ask a DM, I'll go with some questions first. I've got a few coming in here, or I've got a few that came in here, I should say. One is from Adam, and Adam asked me, how much time do I dedicate to session prep, and how much of the game do you just let happen by chance? That is a really good question. I remember the first time I ever DM'd, and I wanted to, it was a one shot, and I wanted to know that one shot forward and backward. And I ran Curse of Strahd again one time before, and I wanted to run it by the book and not have anything like crazy happen. But what I learned in those sessions, and in Curse of, the first couple of sessions of Curse of Strahd, there is no by the book when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. But if you're not flexible as a dungeon master, you're gonna have a bad time. So how much prep work do I put into a session? As far as prep work, I put anywhere from 2 to 6 hours worth of prep work into session by session. When I say 2 to 6, I'm talking about like in the evenings when I'm not busy. I want to think about what my NPCs would be doing, where they are, the big bad evil guy, the BBEG, what he, his thought process or her thought process. I want to know what they're, I want to get into what they're thinking. I also want to know where, if I have, we'll say right now my group is in Vallaki. Now, this is not going to give anything away to them if they watch this, but what I'm saying is they're in Vallaki right now, so I want to know what's going on around, what this group is doing, what this person is doing, what happens if this happens. So there is a bit of prep work that goes into each session. But when I say that I lay a bare bones down, I lay a bare bones down because I prep and I write and everything, but I'm not going to write a script because most of D&D is improv anyway. So you have to have your ducks in a row for what happens because if you're caught with your pants down, you're making things up, and if you're like me. You go back and watch the session and take down the notes then, which is bad practice because I should really be taking notes during the session, because what if I'm not streaming or whatever? I should get out of that habit and get back into taking notes. I do put some prep work in of knowing NPCs and my PCs and everything that's going on around them and what the NPCs and villains and everything would do next if certain things happen. But most of the time you have to, in my opinion, you have to go with the flow. Mainly because I'm a rule of cool DM. If it's a cool thing and it is conceivable or probable, then we're gonna find a way to make it happen. There's going to be something that we can make, try to make a way to happen for it to happen. If it is something ridiculous, if you want to lasso the moon and pull it down to you, no, you're not going to do that. I use this, as far as I use, this is an example, mostly for natural 20s and things like that. If you are hidden as a rogue in a king's court and you go up and behind him and steal his crown without anybody seeing, okay. But if you just walk up to him and say, well, I steal his crown, I'm going to roll sleight of hand. Well, that's going to be a DC of like 40 because there's no way that with all these people around, you're going to reach up and take his crown off his head without somebody seeing or knowing what happened. And even if they don't see you, the crown is now in your hands and off of the king's head, and you're standing in front of him. He's probably just going to have you run through or thrown in jail. So there are things that you can happen that can happen. I like for players to be inventive and have fun and use their imagination on everything. But some things ain't going to happen. But if it's cool and it progresses the story, or it just gives you that moment, of, oh, that was awesome, then yeah, we're going to try to find a way to make it happen. So I try to loosely prepare, lay that bare bones, that skeleton down, so my players can put the meat and muscle on it. So there is some prep work, 2 to 6 hours, depending on what it is, where it is, what battles and things like that. Yeah, there's some prep work. Adam also asked, what sources do I draw inspiration from? Movies or books? Or yes, movies and books. I draw inspiration from movies and books and music. I have always loved reading. I was a comic book, still kind of am. Haven't bought a new comic book in a long time, but I still enjoy reading what I have and things that I find. And I enjoy novels. I enjoy fantasy, sci-fi, historic, all kinds of different novels. I'm actually reading one now that I found on vacation. Vacation. I found one, in a little bookstore that was selling books for really cheap, and I was really shocked. Granted, some of them were like, well, this is book 3 in this series. And I'm like, well, where's book 2 and 1? Well, they're obviously not here. But, but I lucked out and found a book 1 of this series, and I bought it, and I bought another book that was like a horror anthology, like a urban horror anthology that has all these different authors on it. And I was like, well, that's really cool, because I'm really into that, like anthologies and things like that. But I also bought one that's kind of like a neo-noir detective book, and I can't for the life of me, I know this is terrible, I can't remember the name of it, but it's been good. It's been really good. It's based off of I think it was a comic book, not necessarily a comic book, but it has that comic book feel to it as well. And it's about this, obviously he's rich, kind of a Batman kind of figure, kind of a Bruce Wayne figure. He has his loyal butler that takes care of him, and he dons a skeletal mask and is at night he's a vigilante with his father's automatic 45s. And what sets him out away from everybody is that he actually can see the ghosts of the spirit, that he can see the spirits of the people that were murdered, and they come to him asking for help to solve their murders. So that's how he gets in it. It's been really good so far. I've enjoyed it. I need to finish it up. I can read through it real quick. So I draw inspiration from that. So the reason I bought that is because I've been getting into looking to DM or GM, I should say, be the keeper of arcane lore for a Call of Cthulhu game coming up. I love Call of Cthulhu. I've played it multiple times at different cons. I think we played it at GaryCon. But the Ethereal GaryCon, the online version that happened this year, and they're going online this year as well, or next year I should say, 2021, which bums me out, but I get it. But man, GaryCon it was going to be my first GaryCon last year, and I had my plane ticket, I had my ticket to the event and everything, and this stupid virus happened, and they had to cancel it. And this stupid virus is sticking around, so they canceled it again. But I will be participating in GaryCon Online this year, just playing. I haven't really worked up the guts to ask to DM or GM anything, but it would be a lot of fun if I could. I'm sure, but I'm still a little antsy, a little iffy about it, mainly because there are so many talented GMs and DMs out there that I'm like, I'd rather play in their game. But yeah, so I'm looking for inspiration in that for Call of Cthulhu. There's a fantasy book I picked up, and that urban horror. we're trying to get together a special one shot for Misfits and Miscreants of kids on bikes. So I watch a lot of like uh, I didn't even really watch this for inspiration, on kids on bikes, but man, growing up in the '80s, I mean, Goonies and the '90s was was it with the kids on it, but the newer it has more of a like a Stranger Things, E.T., Goonies, all these like movies and shows that have these kids that are riding around on bikes in their neighborhoods getting into trouble and finding these supernatural or crazy events going on in their neighborhood. That's I grew up on a bike, riding around in my neighborhood and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I wanted to, I was like, man, if something really cool would happen in, where I grew up, uh, it would be, just the best summer ever. And, we would ride up in I'm from West Virginia, so we'd ride up in the head of the holler there. And there was all these old, trucks, like semis and stuff that we thought had black powder in them because they were for the powder company or something like that. I can't remember, Austin Powder Company, and there was somebody convinced us it was like explosives, like black powder, and if something happened to these trucks, that it would just wipe out the entire neighborhood down the hall, so things like that. I've always I loved having that imagination and doing those things as a kid. So Kids on Bikes is really an opportunity to, like be a little nostalgic and also play a role playing game, which is a lot of fun. So we're looking to put that together. So to prepare for that, you watch Stranger Things and E.T. and It and all these movies, the Goonies, that have the legitimate kids on riding around on their bicycles in their neighborhoods trying to solve mysteries or help people out or foil the bad guys. So that's a lot of fun. So yeah, I listen to if I'm prepping for a session or anything like that, I will listen to anything from The Witcher, the Wild Hunt soundtrack to I'll find ambient fantasy music on YouTube or anything like that. You draw inspiration from that, and there's a ton of other stuff that I listen to when I'm prepping for a session or writing, or I've been world building lately. So trying to make my own setting, which was a lot of fun. So I listened to oh shucks, what is so Scald? That it's a lot of fun because it's kind of like that Norse. Um, it is Norse music, So you've got that and the Who, not the Who, but I know I'm butchering names of bands right now, so I'm trying not to look it up, but I'm going to. It's the Who, the HU, the Who. That they actually put out a song that was on Jedi Academy, and that was such a cool sequence in that beginning of that movie, or beginning of that game, I should say. So I'll listen to them, and I will listen to oh shoot, Three Steps from Hell, which is a phenomenal uh, fantasy based music. Let me see if I can find them real quick. Or Two Steps from Hell. I said three, but it's Two Steps from Hell. Yeah, just found them actually. So they got a lot of stuff on there, like their Archangel, Battle Cry, Heaven. They have a Halloween album, Invincible. There's a lot of good stuff on there. So I listened to that to kind of put me in that mood. As far as movies, I mean, of course, Lord of the Rings. I draw inspiration from that, and the Witcher series is actually really good on Netflix. Draw some inspiration from that. But if you want to really get down to it, that's good. But the Witcher books, the games, things like that, I try not to borrow liberally from them. But sometimes it's so cool you can't help it. Um, I do borrow from other DMs that I watch. I do listen to and watch podcasts and streams of other games to try to draw inspiration from them. So like Chris Perkins and Justin McElroy from Huntington, West Virginia. Yeah, that's where I'm from. Or well, I lived in Huntington. I'm from West Virginia, Chapmanville, West Virginia, actually. But and of course Matthew Mercer, Deborah Ann Wall. There's all these wonderful, wonderful DMs out there, and I listen to podcasts. Well, obviously, I mean, Justin McElroy and the Adventure Zone, they're on, on a podcast. And I think Travis is on. I haven't really got to catch up with Graduation, but that is Travis's DMing that. The brothers are there. I mean, them and their father throughout the Amnesty arc, which is Monster of the Week. That game is, I love that game. Monster of the Week is based off of literal Monster of the Week shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, X Files, Supernatural, which is now off the air. Crap. Then there's like literal Monster of the Week shows. So Monster of the Week as a game is so much fun. It's a 2D6 system. It's pretty super simple to learn. But it's really fun. They have all these different tropes on there, like, as characters, like, the mundane guy, and which one of my friends named his mundane character Norm Owl. It was so amazing. It's so fun, man, to name him Norm Owl. And then, so I forgot where I was going with that. I just started talking about Monster of the Week. Oh, DMs and GMs I listen to. I listen to Dungeons and Daddies, which is a phenomenal podcast. I have laughed out loud, gasped, covered my mouth the whole nine with that podcast. I did not realize I was sleeping on it, man. I did not realize it is as good as it is. But Dungeons and Daddies is so freaking good, and I appreciate everybody that told me about it. I wish I'd just listened a little more. And forgive me for not remembering the the DM's name right off. Man, dang, Ronnie, you're off your game tonight. Anthony Birch is the DM for that, and he is wonderful. And Matt Arnold, Will Campos, and Beth May are all his players, and they're just so funny. It's such a good show, and and then I've listened to Not Another D&D podcast. I've listened to Hit Dice, which is a podcast, an actual play podcast, which is really good. There's so many on there. You listen to all this. I tend to run a more serious game than some of these guys. Kind of like in the Perkins Mercer, area of. I love to have fun. I love to laugh. I love to carry on and stuff like that. But I like a good story, and so that's why I tend to run a little more serious of a game. As far as that goes, but. So I draw inspiration from all kinds of things and people and places as far as music and media and movies and books. So that's a lot of fun. So thank you for sending that in, Adam. I have a couple more questions from a fellow named McKinley. So what's your favorite module or / setting? Okay. Right now, my favorite module is what we're running is Curse of Strahd, just because it is, that campaign is so much fun. The setting, I love Ravenloft as a setting. I love Forgotten Realms. The Forgotten Realms setting is my go-to, my cup of tea, that's my bag, man. But I love, shoot. Sorry, my friend's texting me. I love Dragonlance. I know there's a whole big hubbub about Dragonlance right now. But I love that setting. I love Dark Sun. I love all that stuff because I read the books, when I was in high school, and it's a lot of there's a lot, but I think Forgotten Realms is my favorite setting, but Curse of Strahd is my favorite campaign right now. I am reading, however, uh, Rime of the Frost Maiden, Icewind Dale, and that is quickly catching up because it has very creepy vibes to it. So if you've ever seen The Thing, from 19 you can go back to 1984, I think it was, with Kurt Russell. Let me double check on that, but it has The Thing vibes, man. It's very creepy, very cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I think actually, while I'm still working on my world, I'm going to bust out 1982 is when The Thing came out. Man, that was a couple years off. Yeah, because that had Wilford Brimley, Keith David, Richard, I can't say his last name. Richard Mazer. Good actor, just can't remember his name. T.K. Carter, and of course, Kurt Russell. I think I'm going to run that after Curse of Strahd, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Also, give me a chance to. I know. I think we're going to try to make Curse of Strahd last as much as we can. I don't want to push it too far, but if it lasts till my scenery from Monster Fight Club comes in, I back their Icewild scenery. So if we can stretch out past when that comes in, I could actually have some miniature terrain for Icewind Dale, which is going to be a lot of fun. And there's actually I know WizKids is coming out with papercraft stuff for Icewind Dale, which is going to be amazing as well, because I use papercraft a lot, and I'm actually looking at my table back here from last week. Gosh, man, I still haven't moved any minis or anything. I wonder if I can pull that up real quick, just to give you a quick peek at what the papercraft stuff that I've got from Battle Systems. Sorry, I know my hands are all up in the camera, and I apologize. Like I said, I don't have my Bluetooth dongle, which is such a fun word. There are so many wires at my feet. This is why I need a new desk. So let me do this. Yep. Yeah, I don't know if I can add that real quick. Yeah, I think I can. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I just froze everything up. And that's a terrible look on my face. All right, so anyway, if you want to see the papercraft, then go back and watch the last episode. It'll be worth it. Trust me. I'm back. Yay, me. And now I'm completely out of frame. Woo. Yeah, this is professional, isn't it? This is why I need a different setup. I'm telling you, like a new chair, a new desk, all that good stuff. Anyway, so yeah, Curse of Strahd, Forgotten Realms. I like it all, but those are my two favorites. Also, from McKinley, that's it. I thought there was another one, but that's it. So I apologize. But yeah, that's where I draw inspiration from. So if there's any more questions or anybody has any questions, just give me a holler, man. I mean, I'm on here, or You can email me or look for me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Um, I am going to put on the "Be Right Back" screen because well, I'll be right back in a second. I have to give my dog his meds, and I forgot Tasha's in the other room, so I'll be right back. And we're back. Um, so, two things. The book I was talking about earlier, it is got a big sticker over it, but it's called "Grim Death and Bill the Electrocuted Criminal." Uh, and take this sticker off of it. And it's from the I bought it at Book Warehouse in Tennessee, but this is it right here. Man, it's been a lot of fun reading it so far. I've not gotten that far into it, but it has been fun. So I really suggest that. That's where I'm drawing some inspiration from a couple of different games there. Um, but let's get into some nitty gritty here, man. Let's talk about Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Tasha's, look at this. Okay, this is obviously the alternate cover, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It is a beautiful cover. Um, Tasha's was a bit of a sore subject for some people, which I get. I get and I don't get. But I thought we'd dive a little bit into it and see what we like and what we don't like about it. But yeah, it is, man. There's some things in here where a lot of people were afraid it was going to take away. I don't want to say control, but it was going to take away like creativity from the DM. And then there was some people that were afraid that it would completely change everything about the game. There were even like people online going, "Oh, this is the soft launch of 6E." What are you talking about? 6E, 5E has not been out that long. It's been out less than I forget when 5E was released, but it's been out not it hasn't been out that long, and uh, it is so popular, it's so easy that 5E, in my opinion, I've played 3.5, tried to play 4, and that made my nose bleed. I've played second E. I've played a little bit of first. I've played a lot of advanced Dungeons and Dragons things. I like 5E a lot, man. And with the popularity that it has right now, I don't think it's going anywhere for a while. If 5E peters out after a little bit, then they'll probably revamp it and release 6E. But I don't see that happening for a very long time. So anybody, shave your necks, take your fedoras off, quit gatekeeping, and welcome some change. So let's look at the first thing up that everybody was wondering about, the customization of your origin. Uh, let's look at something else real quick. So right off, in the using this book, you'll find within is chapter 1 has new features and subclasses for all the classes of Player's Handbook, and also it presents the artificer or artificer, however you want to say, I say artificer class, master of magical invention. Then also has other feats and that it says for groups that use them, but I love feats. So if there's a feat out there, you can use it at level 4 and beyond. Whenever you can do your new, take 2 points or a feat, you can use a feat. So I don't know what happened to the Artificer class that came with Eberron, Rising from the Last War, but this one kind of shines a little more of a light on it too. Chapter 2 has patrons who can become one of the driving forces behind your group's adventures. So they can fund your adventures, which is really cool. 3 has new magical options, including spells, spell books, artifacts, and magic-infused tattoos, which I am super excited about. Oh man, the thought of a magical tattoo being in the book, that you can present as an option for your players. That's so super freaking cool. I love it. And the way they do it, the way you have it is you have a needle, and they go by rare, uncommon, common, wondrous, or not wondrous, but they have all the regular magical items, rarities on them. But you hold the needle over, and the needle goes in, and it forms that tattoo, and you attune to it, and it does whatever spell that you have on it, whatever spell you want it to have. And if you unattune to it, it becomes the needle and it lands in your occupied space. So that's really super cool. And then 4 holds various rules that DM may incorporate into a campaign, including rules on sidekicks who level up with the player characters on supernatural on supernatural environments. And it ends with a collection of puzzles ready to be deployed at any adventure that the DM would like to spice up with some puzzling. Look out. So the sidekicks thing is really cool, especially for those DMs and players that may not be able to get a big group together just yet. So if you only have one person that's interested in playing and the other person wants to DM, then you can run a sidekick, man, and that way it's not as hard or as awkward, at times. So essentially, you can have that sidekick in there, and that's really cool. That's really cool. Now, the other thing that's right underneath that I want to stress, that I would love to stress, that's just when I opened this book up for the first time and looked in here, and with everybody going flip out crazy about this stuff, it says literally right there, it's all optional. Everything in this book is optional. Each group, guided by the DM, decides which of these options, if any, to incorporate into a campaign. You can use some, all, or none. They encourage you to choose the ones that fit best with your campaign story and your group's style of play. Whatever options you choose, this book relies on the rules in the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide. It can be paired with the options in Xanathar's Guide to Everything and other D&D sources. It's all optional, man. If you don't like it, don't use it. I mean, come on. Unearthed Arcana, much of the material in this book originally appeared in Unearthed Arcana, so if you keep up with Unearthed Arcana, which I need to do better at, you'll find a lot of stuff that was in there, it was in Unearthed Arcana, has been finally fine-tuned, and then they released it in this book. So it gives like 10 rules, like the DM adjudicates the rules, which is just a fancy word of saying the DM is... I'm a big believer in the DM is the ref, and not the main storyteller, but he is guiding you in this story. The players tell the story and play the game with the DM, and it has to be fun for the DM too. But he has to make sure that the players are having fun, and that he keeps the rules, keeps everybody in line with the rules. Exceptions supersede general rules, which I'm a rule cool. Advantage and disadvantage, if I do that anyway. Reaction timing, which is just like reactions happen right then. Like, so if somebody shoots an arrow and at a wizard and he gets a 15 and his armor class is 13, he can hit shield and it boosts it up to shield is adds +5 to the bonus to your AC. It adds +5 to AC. So shield, he has 18 AC until the end of his next turn. And then it just goes on through all your temporary hit points, round down, have fun. It was a big important rule. That's one thing I've also seen that whenever you divide or multiply a number in the game, or you round down. So if we'll say a barbarian is raging and they take 13 points of piercing damage, so you half that because of rage, but you round down. So it's 6 and 7 is 13, so you only take 6 points instead of the 7. So you round down. I've seen both ways. I think it's a little more. It's fun to round down because it helps your PCs last a little longer. So let's look at a few things real quick. All right. So, Artificer. You can go through. You can be an alchemist, an armor, an artillerist, a battlesmith. And you have infusions as well. Now, I'm playing currently a battlesmith in a Sunday game with some friends, and I've never played an artificer before. I like the battlesmith, but I think I'd rather be an artillerist or an alchemist. Those seem really fun. So artificers, they harness magic, and they use magic as a basis for science. So, like one of the coolest artificers I've ever seen was by one of my players named Marco. He had, the first time we were in Curse of Strahd, he had a gnome artificer named Gerbo. And Gerbo was really cool. So he had a wand that would he would infuse wands with spells. So he had one that was the grease spell. So that was one of his spells. So, and he loved the grease spell. So he would pull a wand and point it and cast grease, but the tip of it would pop down and grease would shoot out the end of the wand. I was like, that's perfect. So if he wanted to detect magic, he would pull his goggles down and adjust them, and he would, that's how he cast detect magic. So there's a lot of cool things that you could do with artificers. He was an artillerist, so he always had a turret that would pop out and just wreck my plans and everything else. So it's magical tinkering and spell casting, and you could infuse items and make them a little better. So, like, if you infuse an item, there's all kinds of stuff like arcane propulsion armor of magical strength, boots of the winding path, which I have as my battlesmith, which allow you on a bonus action to teleport 15 feet. Let's see. Yeah, you can teleport up to 15 feet as a bonus action to an unoccupied space the creature can see. And that's helped me out in some sticky situations. Let's see. But they've had to have occupied that space at some point during the current turn. But it still helped me, So you've got Enhanced Arcane Focus, which I have that as well. While holding this item, the creature gains a +1 bonus to spell attacks. Spell attack rolls. In addition, the creature ignores half cover when making a spell attack. The bonus increases to +2 when you reach 10th level in this class, which is really cool. So there's a whole list of infusions that you can do on here. Homunculus Servant, Helm of Awareness, Enhanced Weapon, Enhanced Defense, Replicating Shot, which is really good because I have a small crossbow. And just, you don't have to reload, just pop, 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 pop. It's really cool. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with this class, and they're all listed right here in Tasha's. So and they're in Eberron as well. And that's kind of like they kind of take it back to Eberron, saying, well, that's where the artificer has originated from. So all of the classes that you have, the classic. Well, just the classes that you have now have different subclasses to them. Like a barbarian has Path of the Beast and Path of Wild Magic, which is really cool. So if you imagine a barbarian on a Path of Wild Magic who goes into like it says Wild Surge on 3rd level, Third level barbarian can go into a wild surge. The magical energy rolling around in you sometimes erupts. When you enter a rage, you roll on the wild magic table to determine the magical effect produced. If the effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. So you get to bust out the wild magic effect table, wild magic table. So that's really cool. There's 8 different ones on there. You have bolstering magic, unstable backlash, uncontrolled surge. So the thought that this barbarian who goes into a rage and wielding a great axe or a sword or a club or whatever they've got, and then just like black tendrils of arcane energy wrapping around them as they run at you, screaming, ready to crush your skull or cut you in half. It's terrifying. And a bard has the College of Creation and the College of Eloquence, which are, seem really cool. So, like the College of Creation, with a bard, you can. Man, my dog is snoring. College of Creation. Wow, man, that's really cool. I'm sorry, I started reading stuff on it. So there's Performance of Creation, which as an action you can channel the magic of Song of Creation to create one non-magical item of your choice in an unoccupied space within 10 feet of you. Animating Performance, dancing, which gives you a dancing item. And they have the stats for it. Large or smaller construct. Creative Crescendo. And then the College of Eloquence is kind of like the silver tongue, unsettling words, and failing inspiration. So there's 2 new colleges for the bard. Cleric has the Order domain, the Peace domain, and the Twilight domain. And now the Druid one is the one that's really cool because you've got the Circle of Spores, the Circle of Stars, and the Circle of Wildfire. And then fighters have Psy Warrior, Rune Knight, Battle Master builds, and then you have new maneuver options. A monk has the Way of Mercy and the Way of Astral Self, which is really cool. Oath of Glory and Oath of the Watchers as for a paladin. Rangers have Fey Wanderer, which is really interesting because I at lunch today after I was done eating and had a little time, I actually rolled up a Fey Wanderer Ranger today, and it's really cool. Swarm Keeper, which is really cool, and then Beastmaster Companions as well. You got new companions in there, and then a Rogue has a Phantom and a Soul Knife, which I've had a little bit of. If you're familiar with Unearthed Arcana, then there's some. I recognize Phantom and Soul Knife when I saw them from Unearthed Arcana. So then the Sorcerer has a Aberrant Mind, a Clockwork Soul. Warlocks have more Eldritch Invocation options, and then you have the Fathomless, which is really cool, and the Genie, which is fantastic because I had a talented player that was playing Hazim, the Half Genie, which we just reskinned a Genasi, Air Genasi into a Half Genie, Half Elf. And then the Wizard has Blade Singing and Order of Scribes, which is really cool. Then there's Chapter 2 is the Patrons, and 3 is magical. Can't say that word, but you've got new spells, personalizing spells, and then magical tattoos. So let's look at the spells real quick. Actually, there's another one, optional class features for the Wizard I wanted to talk about. There is something going on with this. Let's see. Wizard School of Magic is noted. Cantrip formulas. This is kind of an area, a sore spot for some people I know. You have scribed a set of arcane formulas in your spellbook that you can use to formulate a cantrip in your mind. Whenever you finish a long rest and consult those formulas in your spellbook, you can replace one wizard cantrip with another cantrip from the wizard spell list. I think that's fantastic that you can switch out your cantrips. You couldn't before, but now with this you can. And you can also do an arcane tradition, which offers you the choice of a subclass, which is blade singing, which well, I'll just read it from the book. Blade singers master a tradition of wizardry. They incorporate swordplay and dance. Originally created by elves, this tradition has been adopted by non-elf practitioners who honor and expand the elven ways. Now, Blade Singer in combat uses a series of intricate, elegant maneuvers that fend off harm and allow the Blade Singer to channel magic into devastating attacks and cunning defense. This is a really interesting option. I really want to play a Blade Singer now. Because you can do like as a wizard, you can be proficient in light armor at second level and one type of one-handed melee weapon of your choice. So like long sword, short sword, whatever. You also gain proficiency in the performance skill if you don't already have it because you're a dancer now. Blade Song, you can activate your Blade Song but with a bonus action, and it lasts for 1 minute. It ends early if you're incapacitated on medium or heavy armor or shield. Or if you use two hands to make an attack with a weapon, you can also dismiss the Blade Song at any time. But when your Blade Song is active, you gain the following benefits. You gain a bonus to your AC equal to your intelligence modifier with a minimum of +1. You gain a walking speed. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. You have advantage on dexterity acrobatics checks. You have a bonus of any Constitution saving throw you may make to maintain your concentration on a spell. The bonus equals your intelligence modifier. So it's almost kind of like a rage for wizards, which is really cool. So you kind of go into this trance, not this trance, but you start dancing. And you go into this performance of bloodletting and magic, which is really cool. On 6th level, you can do 2 attacks. At 10th level, you can use direct magic to absorb damage while your Blade Song is active. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to expend 1 spell slot and reduce that damage to you by an amount equal to 5 times the spell slot's level. Holy crap! So if you expend a 5th level spell slot on this, you can you can decrease that by 25. Man, that's really cool. Then the Song of Victory, you can add your intelligence modifier, minimum of +1, to the damage of your melee weapon attacks or melee weapon attacks while your Blade Song is active, and that's a 14th level feature. So there is some really cool stuff. So you could have the Order of Scribes, you can have a Wizardly Quill, Awakened Spellbook, Manifest Mind. Man, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. So, with all that being said, I'm going to go to Magic Tattoos real quick. There are some options in here that allow some really cool things to happen. Now, I can see where some people can be a little alarmed by it, and we'll get into some other stuff later, or here in a minute. I want to look at Magic Tattoos real quick. But the options that they have laid out are really, 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 really cool, in my opinion. So there's a lot of stuff in here that can be very helpful and add a lot of flavor to your game without being a game breaker. So I really, really, really think people need to look more into this and see if it's right for your table or not. So if it's not, it's not. It's not a big deal. But I think I'm definitely our next game around or whatever, and when I play it, one shots or whatever, I'm going to include most of this. Especially Magic Tattoos. Magic Tattoos imbue their bearers with wondrous abilities. Magic Tattoos are initially bound to magic needles, which transfer their magic to a creature. So, like I said, you hold the needle over where you want it to tattoo, like on your forearm, your arm, your chest, whatever. You can do a scalp, and then the rare, like it depends on how rare the tattoo is. The rarer the magic tattoo is, the more space it typically occupies on a creature's skin, which makes sense. So there's a lot going on with that. So a common one can be a hand or a foot or like a quarter of a limb. So like if you just want like a half sleeve or like tattoo up to here or whatever, then that's a common one. Uncommon one, I'm sorry, a half sleeve would be uncommon. Just something on your forearm or on your hands or whatever, that would be a common. So I like a half a limb or half the scalp is uncommon. Rare is a whole limb. So like a whole daggone sleeve would be a rare. And then very rare would be two sleeves, two limbs, or a chest, a whole chest, or the upper back. And a legendary is two limbs and the torso. So let me see if I can find kind of like an uncommon one would be an all-purpose tool. No, wait a minute. What the heck? That's not a tattoo. I'm looking for a tattoo. Sorry. So a Blood Fury tattoo is a legendary tattoo, which is really cool. So the attunement is you hold the needle to your skin where you want the tattoo to appear. So with with the legendary, it'd be two limbs and the torso. It's like two arms and a torso. So you would hold it like over your chest or whatever, and pressing the needle there throughout the attunement process. So you have to use, however long the attunement process is, you have to push it there. And when the attunement is complete, the needle turns into the ink that becomes that tattoo, which appears on the skin. If your attunement to the tattoo ends, the tattoo vanishes, and the needle reappears in your space. So what Blood Fury does is the tattoo has 10 charges, and it regains all expended charges daily at dawn. And while this tattoo is on your skin, you gain the following benefits. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you expend a charge to deal an extra 4d6 necrotic damage to the target. Can you imagine adding an extra 4d6 on top of other stuff, as far as the legendary tattoo would go? Because that's going to be expensive, especially in my world. They're going to be like crazy. Like, they're going to be expensive. But yeah, just like on top of everything that you can throw at them, you add an extra 4d6. And you regain a number of hit points equal to the necrotic damage dealt. Holy crap. That's awesome. So when a creature you see damages you, can spend a charge to use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature with advantage on your attack roll. So man, those are some really cool. Wow, that's really cool. So uncommon. Let me find a common one. Eldritch Claw tattoo. That is uncommon, but that sounds really awesome. Illuminator's tattoo. So you can write with your fingertip as if it were an ink pen that never runs out of ink. And as an action, you can touch one piece of writing, touch a piece of writing up to one page in length, and speak a creature's name. The writing becomes invisible to everyone other than you and the named creature for the next 24 hours. Either of you can dismiss the invisibility by touching the script. No action required. Once used, this action can't be used again until the next dawn. That's really freaking cool. I mean, even it's a common, but man, that's really cool. That could really work for like a spy or anything like that. That's pretty freaking awesome. What is it? Yeah, Lifewell. I've read this one, but I can't remember. It's a very rare one, and you have necrotic resistance to necrotic damage. And when you would be life ward, when you would be reduced to 0 hit points, you drop to 1 hit point instead. Once used, this property can't be used again until the next dawn. Wow, that's clutch. That's pretty clutch. Yeah, Masquerade tattoo is another common one, but I think it's pretty cool. So the fluid ink, as a bonus action, you can shape the tattoo in any color or pattern and move it onto any area of your skin. Whatever form it takes is always obviously a tattoo. It can range in size from no smaller than a copper piece to an intricate work of art that covers all of your skin. That is awesome. And as an action, you can use the tattoo to cast the disguise self spell. DC 13 to discern this disguise. Once the spell is cast from the tattoo, it can't be cast from the tattoo again until the next dawn. So there's some really cool options for stuff in here, which I'm pretty excited about. Really excited about the freaking tattoos, man. Now the other one that was coming was the customizing your origin. At first level, you choose your various aspects of your character. Well, obviously, you choose your origin, okay, and this allows you to customize your origin. Your race, customizing, and it allows you to customize your ability scores, languages, and certain proficiencies that fit the origin you have in your mind for your character. So basically, what they're saying is, if you have an orc, now orcs have notoriously had a negative modifier to their intelligence. So if you choose an orc that's from, we'll say from the area of Daggerford or somewhere, who is obviously, you want him to be a wizard or an artificer or anything like that, you can actually take that negative modifier off. And then your ability score increase, you can swap them for different things. So like, for example, if you're a dwarf, your constitution increases by 2 because dwarf heroes in D&D are often exceptionally tough, is what the book says. This increase doesn't apply to every dwarf, just to dwarf adventurers, and it exists to reinforce the archetype. That reinforcement is appropriate if you want to lean into the archetype, but it's unhelpful if your character doesn't conform to the archetype. So if you want your character to follow your own path, you can ignore your ability score increase trait and assign ability score increases tailored to your character. So they're saying the dwarf constitution, +2 in constitution, you don't have to put it in constitution, you can put it +2 in charisma now, or strength, or dexterity. So if you want a warlock dwarf, you can take it out of constitution and put it +2 in charisma. I'm a big believer of constitution being your second highest stat. I've done it a lot just because I want that HP increase, man. I don't do it for every character, just the ones that make sense for. But, it's more customization, really. I'm not trying to sound like old school or anything like that. I really like the fact that they have all these things already lined up for you, but I get it. I will say this. As a DM, I wouldn't mind it. But if you're going to do it, come up with a phenomenal backstory. Tell me why you want to take that negative modifier away or switch that positive modifier for something else. Paint me a word picture. Tell me a story. And man, if it's good, then I don't have a problem with it all. I had a player one time. I looked at him and I said he was a wizard, but he had a sailor background. I was like, interesting. Why do you have a sailor background? I think it was sailor. And it ended up saying, because it gives me a 21 passive perception. And that was his only reason why. And I'm like, okay, so it definitely has some positives with it. But tell me why, in your background, you are a sailor and a wizard. Because honestly, a wizard does not mesh well with a sailor, in my opinion. But if you can make a good backstory for it, I don't give a crap. Well, he failed to do so. He just wanted to win D&D. And that was it. And I'm like, you don't win D&D. Nobody wins D&D except for when you have fun. So it is, with that, I don't care. Just give me a story behind it, man. The other thing is, they're talking about, taking away inherently evil races in D&D. Like orcs and drow and things like that. It's your game. You do what you want with it. As far as me, I will say this. I've had goblins that have worked in the streets of Saltmarsh for someone else. I've had players who have played intelligent orcs. I've had orcs that are angry at the world and they are evil orcs. Drow who worship Loth, who is a chaotic, evil spider demon underground goddess. Just horrible. There are going to be evil in every race in D&D, whether it's human, dwarf, whatever. It doesn't just stop at drow and orcs and everything else, and there's going to be good as well. I mean, we've had drow players, players who want to play a drow, which is fine. It's fine. There are things that, I want people to have fun, and I want to have fun. So, in my games, you're still going to fight orcs. You're still going to fight, shucks, those jackal things, man. Gnolls. That's terrible. I can't remember. You're going to fight orcs. You're going to fight gnolls. You're going to fight goblins. But you'll also probably see, definitely you'll see a half orc running a tavern, or you'll see a half orc who is working the anvil at the local smithy, or a cleric. You'll see goblins that are anywhere from like I had 2 dockhand goblins, like I said, in Saltmarsh, up to goblin adventurers and everything else. So you're still going to find the tropes of D&D, but you're also going to find a lot of switch up in it as well. So don't just completely automatically shut that steel trap of a mind and say no. Look at it a little bit, see what makes sense, see what you like, and remember, it's just a game, man. It's just a game. So it is what it is. You have people that are, automatically say no to everything, and what kind of fun is that? So it's just a game. It's just a game. So yeah, first, just a quick peek at Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It's really good, man. It's very. There's some really cool stuff in there. I highly suggest it if you can still find it. We'll show it to you again. The alternate cover is absolutely gorgeous. Just a beautiful cover. And you got a Devotee's Censer, which is, that's a Paladin Flail. That's the first thing I opened it up to, which is really cool. So there's all kinds of magical items and magical tattoos and group patrons, all kinds of crap in here, man. So pick it up, look through it. Go to your local game shop, which is where I got mine. Go to your LGS. Support your local LGS, and if you don't have one, look online, man. Grab you a copy of it. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Yeah. So with that, that is my, it's a brief overview, little sporadic overview of Tasha's. We may go into it class by class. You never know. So let me know what you want to see. But it's worth it, man. Pick it up. It's good stuff. It's also on D&D Beyond, which is being shared with me right now, which I really, really appreciate. But yeah, man, grab it, love it, learn it, use it. Don't use it. Doesn't matter. Your table, your game. If you're a DM, go for it. If you are a player and you want to use it and your DM says no, make your case. And if you really want to use it, maybe that's not the table for you. Find a different one. I don't want to tell you to quit or anything, but sometimes it is what it is with that stuff, and just you find greener pastures. But yeah, with me, we'll be using it. So I'm gonna shut up now, and probably in about 45 minutes, I'm going to be back on here, and we're going to be playing some video games, as I call them. We'll be playing a little bit of Black Ops Cold War tonight. See if I can get my face stomped in again on Nuketown. My crew said something about wanting to try. Hey, there we go. All right. So, that was really loud, wasn't it? Sorry about that. So, before everything went to pot there for a second, I'll be back on here playing some video games in a little bit. But man, if you don't have Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, uh, pick it up. It's worth it. It can add a lot of flavor to your games. And with that, I'm going to say thank you if you're still watching, or have watched, or are going to watch in the future. Thank you for watching, and catch me back on here playing video games and listen to my dog drink water. Also, Tuesday night we'll be doing session 9 of Curse of Strahd. It's getting interesting. It's getting real interesting. I love it. I love my players. They're fantastic. And then we're going to try to do some kids on bikes soon. I'll let you know when that comes around. But stay tuned into the channel and hit me up. Come hang out with me. Sit and talk to me. It'll be a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed tonight, because I have. And yeah, you're awesome. We'll see you in a little bit.